Hi, everybody. This is Melanie Headley. Welcome to ToRAISE Questions Doula podcast, hosted and sponsored by ToLabor. I'm Melanie, and this is ToRAISE Hakoon.
Hi, Melanie. How are you?
Hi, ToRAISE.
This is the first episode with you, even though it's number 45. This is so exciting. Thank you so much for joining me to do this. Sarah is sitting by your side, though.
Thank
everyone.
God.
So Sarah is still very present.
Thank you for having me. I'm really nervous, guys. I was on a very small birth podcast before this, and coming in to work with these amazing ladies in ToRAISE, learning how many people actually listen to this podcast blew me away.
What did you find out?
Thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people.
No, not millions, but you're right, 100,000 or more downloads of this podcast, which kind of blows us away too. I mean, it just kind of cracks me up every time I think about it. I think we're just sitting in this room talking, and it's great. But they're going to love you, Melanie, because I love you, so it's going to be great.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. And we want to hear from you. We want to hear about what you like, what we're doing. We want to hear about what are some questions? What are some specific things you'd like to hear us talk about? You can get in touch with us from the website. You can get in touch with us from our Gmail account, toraisequestions@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, ToLabor on Facebook. And then we're also on Twitter at ToLabor Doulas. So find us and we will answer your questions.
And also, please leave us a review on iTunes. It really, really helps us. I mean, we do get a great deal of feedback of how much people really enjoy the listening and when they are listening and where they listen. It's crazy to me. I have heard so many stories about people, what they're doing when they're listening to the podcast. But if you could spend a little bit of time on iTunes and putting that out there, it's really helpful for us to have that exposure. Also, it bumps us up, to be totally honest, into the eyes of other people. However they work it through iTunes, we get more visibility the more reviews we have. So yeah, please take a moment if you enjoy this to let us know.
And make sure you subscribe on iTunes as well, so you can get all of our podcasts.
Yep,
we have lots. You can go back and listen to the old ones too, with the fabulous Sarah Allen Short. And the website is www.tolabor.com, where you can find out about all of the workshops coming up. ToRAISE is the executive director of ToLabor. ToLabor is a national doula training and certification organization. The certification organization that I was certified through for doula and doula services. And that is what I keep going back to. I've retaken it a couple of times to just kind of refresh and relearn. It's a new workshop every time. It really is.
Yeah, it is. I wouldn't be doing it for so long if it weren't.
Yeah. And we wanted to give a shout out to our listeners in Texas and Michigan.
Which we see there's quite a lot of you and a lot of new people from those areas as well. And we're having a workshop in Texas, if you're interested, in Corpus Christi in July, and one in outside the Detroit area in Oxford, Michigan in August, if that's something that you'd like to try and attend. If you're listening to these workshops, we'd love you to come. Hi, everyone. We're here today with Cristen Pascucci and Lindsay Askins from a project called the Exposing the Silence Project. And we wanted to talk with them and get a feel for what this is all about. And so, hi, Lindsay. Hi, Cristen. How are you?
Hi, we're good. Hi there.
And who is... What did you say?
We're going through a toll right now.
So this is Melanie. We're talking to these amazing women. They are driving in a car with 3 kids. So we're going to deal with some things happening, but I'm sure all of you can relate.
Yes.
These are working moms. This is what happens.
So tell us why you're in a car, what your project is. Let's see. Start by telling us who you are and what your backgrounds are, and then where it brought you to developing this, what we think is a pretty amazing endeavor that you've taken on. I love the name of it, called Exposing the Silence Project. It just, I want to hear more about it. So start with one of you and tell us who we're listening to.
Okay, this is Cristen Pascucci, and I'm the Vice President of Improving Birth and the creator of the Break the Silence campaign last year, when we asked women to send in photos of themselves, with a short statement about, sort of speaking out about some of the trauma and violence that women experience in maternity care. In the U.S., and we had a few people from around the world also participate. And I'm also the founder of Birth Monopoly, which is my own website. And Lindsay is a professional photographer. She can speak for herself.
This is Lindsay. I have wanted to do something significant with my photography for a long time, and I am also a doula, and I mostly do a lot of birth photography. So when Kristen and I started working together, it sort of all came to fruition, where I feel like I could use photography to really bring light to the trauma and violence going on in childbirth in America.
So
definitely.
I've collaborated, and here we are.
So I wonder, and I am completely aware of trauma during childbirth and violence during childbirth, but what sparked you, like when you were talking, you said you started the project, Exposing the Silence, last year. What inspired you to do that? I mean, what was the motivation? And then, of course, Lindsay, how that speaks to you with your photography. I mean, you just said that you really felt like it was a way for you to express what you could offer.
So with Improving Birth, I am interfacing with hundreds and thousands of women, giving birth and planning to give birth, and with many, many birth professionals. And, we were getting so many stories, on a daily basis. We were just getting these stories from women, looking for help, looking for options, looking for recourse after something had happened. And we actually started a hotline, putting women together with lawyers.
With what?
Who were with lawyers.
Lawyers. I'm sorry, I could not hear.
Yeah. So that's okay. That's not surprising that you couldn't hear.
I thought, I just will tell you, for a moment, I thought you said putting them in touch with warriors. And I thought, ooh, warriors.
Well, that too.
Yeah, that too. Got it. Okay, go ahead.
For the same job. So we were just getting all these women, in these emergency situations saying, I've been told I have to go in for an induction on Monday that I don't need, and I don't know what to do. I'm up against a brick wall here. So we were dealing with those on literally a daily basis, and I was working with those lawyers really closely, and so we were just sort of like this, point of contact for women all over the country who were experiencing and had experienced, various violations and, disrespectful treatment. And so we decided to do the Break the Silence campaign through Improving Birth because, we really felt like it was time to take the shame off these experiences that women were having, because we were sort of like the shoulder to cry on for all these women who couldn't get that support from their families or their friends or their colleagues, and certainly not from, the system that was there to provide their, medical care. So, we just thought women really need to start talking about this stuff out loud. It's time to open our mouths and get real about what is going on here. And that's a really healing thing for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And then, beyond the healing, we hope and expect that it's going to inspire change, and I think we've absolutely seen that already. It has been inspiring change.
How have you seen the change? What have you seen?
Well, I'm seeing birth trauma as a topic all over the media these days.
Definitely.
And that was, my professional background before this was like political consulting and media communication stuff. So I'm obsessed with, media. So I follow these things really, really closely and pay very close attention to this stuff. And 2 years ago, it was not in the media, period. It was absolutely not talked about. And then last year, one of the women we worked with very closely got the very first article that I'm aware of in the United States about trauma in childbirth, traumatic childbirth, in a major newspaper. And that was right at the same time we were, kicking off Break the Silence, and people just started talking.
Yeah.
And then there were articles. Women just started opening their mouths about this stuff. Australia had a few articles. England has had a few things going on. And then we're seeing right now, I don't know if you all have seen the video that was released.
Yeah.
The episiotomy video.
A woman in California. Yeah.
Right. And let me just pause for a minute and just let our listeners know. I think a lot of people have seen this video about the woman receiving the episiotomy after requesting repetitively that she did not want it. And for those who haven't seen it, I'll just direct them to the To Labor Facebook page. We did have it on there at the end of April. But it is very hard to watch. So if it's not something you need to see, suffice it to say,
it's very hard to watch.
Yes, it's very intense. An actual violent violation against a woman's will being done.
Yeah. Well, I do not, honestly, I don't recommend people watch it.
No.
They don't feel like they have the stomach for it. It is very difficult to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Even Hermine Hayes Klein, who's the founder of Human Rights in Childbirth, did a really great write-up of it, if anybody wants to read it. So that's on the Human Rights in Childbirth blog.
I love her.
Really breaks it down. Yeah, and she's been working really closely with us on Kelly's case. But and this is the whole point of what happened with Kelly is that this is a really egregious violation. She had a 12-cut episiotomy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's outrageous what happened. She asked for information. The doctor refused to give her information. And then she finally just said no when he literally came after with scissors. She's like, wait, why? Why do we need an episiotomy? Please talk to me about this. And he wouldn't talk to her.
Right.
And then, just went ahead and did it. And what's so striking about it is that it's such a clear, it's just very clear cut. I mean, there's no excuse for what happened, and it's recorded on video. And yet, a year and a half later, no lawyer has come forward to take this case. The hospital has not stepped up in any way to be accountable for what happened. The state of California, the medical board, just reached out, like within the last week, reached out to start an investigation. So, for something that's
so disappointing.
You think people would be jumping. Yeah, you would think people would be all over it, right?
Well, and it's so interesting. It just speaks volumes. I mean, talk about exposing the silence. It speaks volumes of how incredibly difficult this is for a person who goes through a violation, not only to assimilate it into their own life, but how to take action. And then to hear that this woman who has one of the most clear violations that we can see it, we can hear it, we can know it. Yeah. And people that they're up against the odds of getting that looked at, it can be really disempowering. It's like, what's the point? What's the point? I'm already traumatized. Should I put myself through the trauma of not being heard even more through a system that's supposed to be protecting me.
Right.
Yeah, it's a little bit frightening. I mean, it's a really. Whoops, sorry, there's a loud car outside my window. Yeah, it's a really clear illustration of how daunting it is for any woman to deal with any kind of a violation.
But should not stop them from pursuing.
No, but yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, the solution is not to
keep silent.
Not to give up.
That's it. I know. That's where that's where, the support of for instance, the doula community of birth advocates and birth activists and organizations, and you all are so important so that person does not feel alone, that does not understands that this is important, that they are right in what they feel. And even if it's just speaking it out loud and that's all they need to do, the healing that can take place for them. And that's why we're just excited about your project, because it just can't be kept silent, like you said, any longer. It never has been, but it's been hushed. So,
and that video, I have to say, or even that story, brought up so many emotions for me watching it. Not only was she unheard by her doctor, but her mother was on the sidelines advocating for this procedure to be done, and no one else really stepped up to
support her,
advocate for her. And it really brings up so many things in labor of how vulnerable a woman is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was really jarring for a lot of people. And her mother has since said, where they come from, and episiotomy is a very routine thing. And certainly, 12 cut episiotomies are not routine.
No.
And, the mother was just like, "Oh, this is normal."
Right.
Well, and she gives reasons. Right. But to move.
No idea. Yeah.
To move on from her story, which is a basis of one of the traumas that women have occur, I am sure through your project you have heard things that others, that the pregnant person describes as a trauma, but that others who listen to it may not consider it a trauma. And what has that been like to listen to those stories? And because I think that's really common. I think what we saw with the episiotomy is the real extreme, and then there's the women who experience trauma, and they say they feel traumatized. I hear it all the time as a birth worker, as an instructor in these workshops. I hear people all the time describe their births as traumatic, and yet nobody else would perceive it as traumatic. So what's the experience with that?
Well, I think it comes down to one really simple principle, and that is that women want to be heard, and they want to be listened to, and they want to be respected.
And they want to feel safe.
You don't have to, what's that?
They want to feel safe.
Yes. Yeah. And there doesn't have to be, some major, violating procedure involved. Simply being ignored or dismissed or, condescended to or, all of those things can be incredibly traumatic. They often impact the course of your birth. In fact, there's a study coming out, I think later this year, that I just reviewed, and it's about coercion in maternity care. And it found that coercion was a stronger predictor of trauma and PTSD than even childhood history of abuse.
Wow.
So it is an incredibly, it's a really, really powerful force when you're at your most vulnerable, to feel unsafe or ignored or like you're not there in any way, to be sort of dehumanized.
Yeah, exactly.
In any way. It's a very, it can be a life-altering experience.
Well, and with, oxytocin release, one of the things it does, which is maybe why I was just clicking this in my head, why would it be more than in childhood trauma? When you're releasing lots of oxytocin, which we hope somebody is during their labor, one of the properties of it is it makes you, it creates this vulnerability in the sense of it makes you trust people. One of the wonderful byproducts of it is it creates a trusting feeling inside of the person, a trusting environment. Then they think they are in, and they then are vulnerable to that coercion, to those suggestions, and because they thought that they were safe. And so that would make sense to me that this could have more relevance in long-term trauma than even childhood, which is beyond me. I mean, that's just boggling if this, that study is held as really credible.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question about photographing these women sharing their stories.
So this is for Lindsay.
I'm here.
Hi. So do you,
Hi.
after hearing these stories, and I don't know, I kind of want you to walk us through what the process is
Right.
that you go through with these women. Do you hear their stories and then photograph them? But I imagine, I hope this to be an empowering moment for them. And I'm wondering if you see a change come over them.
Can you say the very last part again? You're wondering what?
I'm wondering
Sorry,
if...
it's my baby.
No, that's okay. I'm wondering if you see a change in them while they are sharing their story or while they're being photographed, or, what are the emotions? What's that palpable feeling in the room or wherever you are while you're talking to them and photographing them?
Yeah, most definitely. So the goal in my mind and the vision was to have women feel validated, heard, and most definitely empowered, when they leave us. And I wish I had all day to talk to them, but we're trying to see as many people as we can, and so it's kind of hard to get all that into an hour and a half. But
Sure.
There was definitely a lot of emotions. We start off just, kind of getting to know each other, and then, you tell me about your birth story. And sometimes it's just one of their 3 births that was bad, and the others were great. Maybe they've only had 1 baby, so that's all they know. Maybe their first 2 were great, and it was their last one that was traumatic, and they thought they had everything figured out. So, it's mostly traumatic, I think, when women think they've taken all the steps and they're educated and they've got the right birth team. And like Cristen was saying, it's more or less the way they were treated during the whole experience, how they walk away traumatized.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of emotions that come out when they're telling their story. I mean, I had a woman earlier this week in Denver that she was talking about a birth that happened 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
12 years ago. And she couldn't finish sentences. She couldn't get through it because it's still so just raw. And she's been to counseling. I mean, she's a doula. She's working on her midwifery training. I mean, she's very, very knowledgeable. And it's still just, it's horrific what it does to a woman. I mean, I don't think it's something you ever get over.
No.
So
No.
That's kind of, so we talk about it and we kind of get through it, and I listen to them and ask them questions, and then from there we just kind of do a quick, rather quick sort of portrait shoot where I try to capture on their face what they're feeling, where they're at in the emotional roller coaster of all this. So it's been different for each woman. They're definitely not all the same, obviously.
Yeah, it must. So, what are the questions you all are asking of the women who you're interviewing? And I guess really to start with, what is the project right now? Describe to us what this specific project is, because 2 women, 3 children in a car. What are you doing?
Everyone keeps telling us we're crazy.
No, I think you're wonderful.
Yes.
You mean logistically?
Yeah, tell us about the project now.
So, just to answer the initial question, we're driving because it's cheaper.
Right.
Yeah.
We did the math, and by the time you buy plane tickets for kids and rent cars and all that, it was just too much. So we all fit in my car, and it's pretty fuel efficient, so we're driving.
And so where are you coming from? Where are you starting and where are you ending?
We started in San Francisco just this past weekend, and we met and photographed some women there. And then we went to Denver 2 days ago on Wednesday, and we met and photographed 6 women there. And our next stop this weekend will be Columbus, and then the week after that we go on to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Baltimore, and then we have interest in Delaware and New Jersey. So
wow. How do we get you to come to Richmond?
Well, we need interest. That's really all. We're kind of looking at this as like a maiden voyage to further trips and projects and other places. So right now it's more or less just finding where the interest is and going there. So.
And
we've had some people step up and sponsor locations, which is a huge help. It's kind of expensive driving around with these kids, so we're doing our best to defray those costs. And
so what are you?
Thank God there has been such support and interest. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So what are you looking for when it comes to sponsoring? What does that entail? Have you come up? I mean, if somebody did want you to come to their city, to their area, what would they do?
So there's a couple things. We could either get a location sponsor, so that's somebody who would sign up and contribute $125 to like lock in the location, and then the other alternative is just to have enough women in one place, register in order to make it feasible for us. Which right now is about 5 or 6 people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what we're looking for. And then we actually have had some people express interest in sponsoring the project itself.
Right.
Which totally opens things up, because then that just gives us some a little bit of flexibility and allows us to go where the people are. Yeah, sorry.
No, don't apologize. It's totally what it is. Totally.
We've all lived through that.
So just pause for a moment. How old are the kids and what are their names?
The loudest one is the youngest one.
Of course.
So she's 11 months. Her name is Jameson.
Aww.
Yeah, she's doing awesome though. And then we have 2 3-year-olds who are just like a few months apart, Henry and Ginger.
And you ladies are so brave.
So who?
I know. They're quite a pair. We finally caved and stopped and bought one of those DVD players.
Yeah.
Yes.
Back of the head piece. After a couple of days where we were, ready to drive off a bridge.
Sure.
Yes. My family drove across the country last year, 4 kids in the back, and they're much older than your kids, but it was hard.
Who has the 2 and who has the 1?
Lindsay has the 2 girls, and I have the boy,
okay.
the 3-year-old.
Okay. Well, we're really glad to have them on this journey.
Yes.
What a great experience for them, even though they don't really know it. They're getting it by osmosis, I'm sure. So going back to the project, the registration of 5 to 6 women, is that, and there is a fee for that. Is it $25 per person?
Yeah, right now it's $25. We're trying to keep it as low as possible.
Okay.
And that's mixed with the $125 for the sponsor location?
Right. Uh-huh.
Okay. And if people were interested after listening, they should contact you, Lindsay. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the best way to do it would be our website.
Right.
exposingthesilenceproject.com.
Exposing the silence?
We're going to say it again, exposingthesilenceproject.com, and we'll put it on the Facebook page the day we put this out there as well, so that all of the listeners can be clear on where to go.
We also do have a Facebook page as well if people need, so they can message the page as well.
Okay, and is it Exposing the Silence Project?
Yes.
Okay,
correct.
Good.
And Instagram too.
What? Oh, good.
Instagram.
Okay, Instagram.
There's many, Same thing, Exposing the Silence Project, yeah. So there's a couple ways to reach us, but on the website, there's a page which shows, kind of what we're asking to help us cover costs as far as if you would participate or sponsor. There's a whole fee structure broken down there.
Okay, that's good. And so what questions are being asked of the people you're interviewing?
Sort of general questions, more or less like, just tell me your birth story, what happened? And a question that we've tried to ask consistently is, what was the reaction when you told your story to your family, to your friends, to whoever? Did you feel validated? Did people listen? And kind of, unfortunately, the resounding answer to that is that people don't want to hear the story. And a lot of women get told, oh, well, your baby's healthy. So
exactly.
That matters. Just get brushed off. And a woman earlier this week told me she was telling her story of how she had a really traumatic experience. And here she is a few weeks postpartum, physically feeling horrible and emotionally feeling horrible. And she was trying to speak to a family member. And it's just the two of them standing in the baby's nursery, and then the family member completely changed the subject to talk about the baby's blanket or something totally unrelated.
Right.
And you hear that all the time. And here's the family member, someone you think that you can trust and kind of vent to and, help process what happened to you, because you still don't know what happened to you. It's only been 3 weeks or whatever. And there's just no validation. I think everyone's just so concerned, well, everyone's happy and healthy, everyone's alive or whatever. And it's
right. And they're encouraged to just tuck those feelings away.
Yeah. And my experience with women is that when they the first time say to someone, well, I'm feeling sad, I'm just feeling this was really hard, or whatever they were wanting to express, and somebody says to them, which is such the most common response, what do you worry? What are you talking about? You have a healthy baby. What is your problem? I feel like this is what happens to the overwhelming majority of those women. They zip their lip from that moment on. They never want to say it again because they feel so selfish. They feel like they're right. Of course, what's wrong with me? Why should I be feeling this way? And then they don't talk about it, and it festers and it festers. But, having been part of the birth work for way into over 20 years now, this is something that we talk to everyone about is you have a story to tell, and find the person that you can tell this story to, and let it be heard. And that we know that birth is so much more than just about a healthy baby and a healthy mom. That's the no-brainer. Of course, that's what they wanted. But it's, so much more. So you ask that question, and what else is asked?
I was just going to say something else that goes along with that is, meanwhile, these women are internalizing all that and not feeling heard or anyone supporting them. And they're supposed to take care of this brand new baby.
Right.
Which we all know requires a whole lot of emotional and physical energy.
Yes.
So, Cristen has something to say.
Yes.
Well, I just wanted to say, part of, one of the goals of the project is just to announce to women that they do deserve to be heard. They are entitled to be heard. And I want women to start demanding to be heard. Mm-hmm. And that's quite a journey for a lot of people. I mean,
yes.
It takes a long time to get there. But that's where I really want to see women go. In general, is like owning that they deserve to be treated well. They deserve respect, and voicing that and saying, I deserve this. I deserve this respect.
Absolutely.
I don't need to be validated by anybody else. I know that I deserve this. So if someone doesn't have that where they are, they can now see that online. That there are people out there who believe that they deserve that, that they are entitled to be heard and to be respected, and their feelings matter, and they matter, and a healthy is a word that encompasses a lot more than just survival.
Absolutely.
Right.
Emotional well-being, as a mother, how difficult it is. those are real impact. I mean, that's like your life, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it is.
When you look back on your life, that is what you look at. You know, what was the quality of that time like as a mother? You know, the quality of that time with your newborn, you know, during the postpartum period, during your subsequent pregnancies. You know, this stuff is really important, and you know, we're not going to allow it to be swept under the rug anymore.
And I so agree with you, Melanie, shaking her head. We're both, I can see we're a little, you're speaking our language so clearly. It's why we do this work. This is why it's so important that you're out there. And you know, what I've said all these years, which is why I so support what you're doing, is, you know, we're an organization that trains doulas, and we believe that doulas are agents of change. But what I express all the time is, in the end, the real change makers are the consumer, the parent themselves, the person who had the experience, and they need to open up their mouth. They need to say how they were treated, why they felt they were treated well, what that looked like, why they felt they weren't treated well, what that looked like, and what they would prefer instead of what was done to them. And so it is so important to create this opportunity for them to be able to speak, because until they do come forward and speak loudly and clearly, they and their partners, because this is another big thing that I hope that you will also include in your project to some degree, is that partners are traumatized as well during these experiences, and they are carrying this trauma even deeper in some ways than the pregnant person is, because we are giving more permission to them to be able to speak, but the partners are the witness to this, and they're rarely given the opportunity to talk about it. And when we do, you realize they are carrying this, and how they carry it contributes to how things don't change also, and how they parent and how they live and how their relationship is with that person. And so this is what it takes. I can be impassioned. We can be impassioned, but when it happens to somebody, they really need the support around them to understand, I need to speak to this. I will speak to this, and the partners as well.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we even considered opening the project up to partners.
I hope I would love
idea.
you. Yeah, I support you, because this is something I've been discussing for years and years and years, and I've gotten really very vocal about, is that it's a human issue. It's not just a feminist issue, you know, that everybody is being impacted by this. And of course, the person who gave birth is the most critical, obviously, and the most important, and should be given the most exposure, ability to speak. But it's the birth workers too. It goes even further. Mm-hmm. Those who, you know, I thought about that, just going back for a second to that episiotomy one, the video, the nurse in it. I was trying to read her feelings during that experience, because she was trying, I felt at one point, to be supportive of the mom, yet she was also then explaining to the woman why it was going to be okay, and it's really okay. But I didn't really believe her. I didn't believe that she believed what she was saying.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, there's secondary trauma for a lot of people.
Yes. Yes.
Nurses. Absolutely. And we've had several medical professionals analyze that video, and you know, there's been a lot of, you know, speculation about what was going on with that nurse. And Dr. Michael Klein observed, which I thought was probably spot on. He said that the nurse knew what was going to happen, you know, from the minute the doctor walked in the room, and he was sort of walking the fine line of trying to calm down this woman who had already communicated to the nurse that she was previously traumatized by, you know, a history of rape. and to please be gentle with her. And so, she's like trying to sort of make her feel better. And frankly, she's enabling what the doctor's doing.
Exactly.
At the same time.
I know. That was what was so hard. Yeah, because I didn't believe that she believed what she was saying, but I did think she was going along to calm, and also because she was worried about how it would impact her. But I thought she has to live with this as well, that she helped participate in that. And so anyway, that's kind of tangential. I'm going off. What else do you want to tell us about the project?
I guess just like I said, we're trying this trip right here was just kind of our maiden voyage, but we're sort of seeing it as something that I hope would continue because there's so, we're not going to reach everybody, but there's so many women out there, and like Cristen was saying earlier, I just want people that feel like they can't talk about it, or no one's listening to them, or they feel alone, or there's something wrong with them, or all these things they're internalizing, to feel comfortable, and find support in processing what they're going through, and that they're not alone.
How long?
That's really my main.
How long are you on the road right now? How long will you? Yeah.
This is the entire month of May.
Okay, and then you'll go home, and then you're hoping to go out again. What is the long range plan here?
So we have interest, obviously, in other places besides where we're going on this particular trip. So I'm just sort of filing them away, and then we'll just kind of go from there. There's a lot of interest in Texas, and I have to go to Texas anyway in the fall, so we'll kind of, see what kind of route we can come up with there, and just, I don't know. I guess we haven't really organized ourselves long term, but we know there's more interest in other areas.
Oh, I'm sure. This could be
unfortunately
everywhere.
Yeah, that's it. It can be a very, very large project that you've just undertaken, which is so awesome and so distressing at the same time. It's like when I became so relieved to hear that post-traumatic stress syndrome was actually now a diagnosis that could be given to postpartum women. I was like, yes, finally. But then so distraught by that, because it's like that should never be a diagnosis that goes with postpartum.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We really appreciate you taking the time driving along. It's just so perfect that you're in the car doing this with the kids as we're talking to you.
Yes, we're so inspired by you.
Yeah, and we... No, they were great.
They were so good.
We are so grateful that you have taken this time out of your lives to do this. We really want to make sure our listeners really take a look at the website. Again, it's exposingthesilenceproject.com. They're on Facebook and Instagram. And, get in contact with them if you feel that you would like to sponsor them, even if it doesn't come into your community, but just help support them on this endeavor now and for the future. Or
buy them some gas, some road snacks.
Some new videos for the kids, whatever they need the money for.
We need to meet us with flights at this point, somewhere between Topeka and Kansas City.
Well, and do you all have a tip? Do you have a tip that you've learned in I guess the 2 days you've been on the road so far, or I guess what, 4 or 5 days of traveling with little kids?
A tip.
Get a DVD player.
No, I was going to say just definitely allowing a lot of time. A lot of time for stuff, and I think that makes all the difference. Like, they get out, they run around, they get their energy out, and then put them back in for another leg of the trip.
Yes.
Are you doing any night traveling?
No, we're too tired.
You're too tired, yeah.
So,
Yep. Well, that's a great tip. You're right. You can't be on a total time frame. You kind of have to be very respectful of what they're going through besides yourself. And I hope that you will take good care of yourselves as well, because listening to trauma after trauma is not easy for you all. So I hope you will make sure that there's a safe place for you to be sharing what you're going through as well. And we just really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, and we look forward to following this and seeing where it's going and supporting you in any way we can.
And getting you to Richmond at some point.
Yes, I will file Richmond away in the back of my head.
Okay.
Actually, there is further interest in Virginia, so that's not too far. But we really appreciate y'all's support, and you taking the time to speak to us and help us kind of get the word out about this and reach more women. Thank you.
Absolutely. So drive safe and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.